They literally race swapped a character to make him a deadbeat dad and a junkie. Okay. Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdut's Newsstand, and generally, I would take my time and at least try to edit something logical together here, but I'm not gonna, because that would take more time that I had put into a series that went from Katana from Mortal Kombat to Jasmine from Disney. I am not kidding you. Sweet Tooth was Mad Max meets Bambi, right? And now it is a glorious family-friendly tale that everyone can watch even if you're fucking 2. Like, this series not only ruined the original Sweet Tooth, I wouldn't say it ruined it. I guess that's not the way to put it. It wasn't a true comic adaptation by any stretch of the imagination. And it's really unfortunate because the parts that they shaved off in order to make it family friendly are the parts that made it stand out and that made it unique. It was a misadaptation that should have never transferred from the pages to the screen. Because even though Jeff Lemire is not the most amazing artist, that's the whole world building that you grew to love. That is the version of Sweet Tooth that you looked at and you really liked. And I, essentially when I watched it, episode number 1, I thought it was pretty decent. It was very beautiful. And at first I was like, this is a really good change for the first episode, because of course in episode 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they're going to change that, right? Because when we looked at Sweet Tooth, they would, kind of go through it and say the sick littered the road. The world was referred to as a mass gravesite. Or beautiful rolling hills in New Zealand. They took this story from a spiritual adventure of, like I said, Mad Max meets Bambi, and mixed it with a massive, and I mean the biggest overhaul I have ever seen in a story like this being adapted, tonal shift, and a complete change in narrative with absolutely no real message. This was not a story. This was a Disney princess. I cannot believe the way that they changed these. And I'll talk about it a little bit more on stream tomorrow. But I want to go over a little bit of the elements that really, really changed and why this is completely unfortunate. And I don't understand. I honestly don't understand how it can be doing so well on Rotten Tomatoes right now, unless it's, Jeff Lemire's original graphic novels and comic books as they came out on Vertigo line were not extremely popular, of course. So I'm assuming most of the people that are interested don't know the source material. And as a family-friendly tale, I can understand that. I can understand you enjoying it for what it was. I really, really can. But knowing what made this story special and having every single one of those elements taken away is absolutely garbage, in my opinion. Now, it doesn't send a message. I talked, and I'll link it in the pinned comment, my review on episode 1, where I talked about all the different messages this story conveyed. What message was in Sweet Tooth? If you don't like your parents, maybe you'll like the neighbors. Go ahead and go down there, guys. Go ahead. If you need a family, just go to the local deadbeat dad. Like, you took a character, specifically talking about Deckert here. And I talked about the worries I had when it came to race bending this character. And I actually was relatively optimistic about how they would do it. They changed little things. We're going to talk about the little. They changed it from Annette being a hockey player to a football player. Okay. It could have made him stand out, having him still be one of the fewer black hockey players, and he could have walked around with like a badass hockey stick, right? That would have been really cool. Okay, all right, we changed those elements. Oh, you changed everything about Jeopard. You took a man that was driven by his wife and his son, and being able to get them the peace they deserved, and you made him into a man who abandoned his wife and his son only to eventually change his mind too late. Like, I get it. Everybody has their own regrets, but when you have the source material right in front of you, what else can I say? There shouldn't be an issue here. And there absolutely is. What blows my mind is who at Netflix thought it was a good idea to take Jeopard, who is a man that was driven, again, by getting his wife and his son's remains at peace and turning him into a drug addict. Yes. He made Sweet Tooth sniff out drugs. Do you realize how incredibly racist some of these aspects you put into your story when you could have kept them the same and there would have been not even a little hint of racism because it would have just been the same character? There was a few flashbacks. I'll give them that. We had Jupiter's Legacy recently, right? And Jupiter's Legacy took 8 pages of flashback and turned it into 4 hours. This story took 80 pages of flashbacks and turned it into 8 minutes. I just can't believe who's doing these things. Who is taking these properties and putting them in a blender? Because they're not coming out exactly what you wanted. I just can't believe even the religious elements. I talked about that briefly when I did my episode 1 remove. You took the whole spiritual adventure, finding God, finding Earth, finding people, and knowing that there's a nuance between Gus's father, who believes that Sweet Tooth is the chosen one, even crafts prophecies about him that they use later on, right? Until you changed it completely to take away the Christian elements, but allowed the Buddhist elements, which I give no shits about. But that's another way of you favoring one over the other. What you do for one, you have to do for the other. They took away everything. There was one really great character, Lucy. Yeah, she's gone. She was gone. It was basically a whorehouse that Jeopard, and we saw Gus run across in the beginning, right? And it was a kind of a coming of truth moment for Gus to realize that maybe everything's not as it seems. And Jeopard eventually does come back after he is the bad guy of the story. Jeopard should have been your M. Night Shyamalan twist of your first season, but you didn't want to make him the bad guy. Guess what? Jeopard gave up Sweet Tooth, but you understood both sides of the argument. You understood that he was only doing it because of his wife and his child. And then eventually, when they go on to find his child and find everything surrounding that situation, when they break back in, him and Lucy, he actually leaves his child to die and not realizing it until it's too late. So you have to watch Jeopard go through those emotions of abandoning one thing to only have it, blow up in his face, and understand that you are going to make mistakes and you're going to learn from them, but you can't keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And that's what we see Jeopard do. He's a cautionary tale, but apparently not anymore. And we got to talk about the animal armies real quick. Animal armies within this was the second time that Jeopard and Lucy went into the Abbott facilities and stormed it and they needed the help of the animal armies. Okay, so I don't remember the guy's name, but he was crazy. Like, straight up crazy. His wife, during the time of the virus being sent out, and she was pregnant. But instead of having a child, just like everyone else, she had the hybrid. Except for she had a litter. She had 5 puppy children, and it killed her, right? And not knowing what to do, this man literally fed his wife to the puppy children and then kept them to help within the animal armies. Guess what the animal armies are? Just please pause the video, comment below. I want you to just take one single guess, please, 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 what the animal armies are now. Oh yeah, did you guess children? Yeah, I bet so. They are fucking kids that are meant to be the new generation, and we have to accept the new generation and everything that they stand for, and our time is over. And guess what do children do? If you were 17, 16, 18 years old in a post-apocalyptic land, what would you be doing? Like, if you didn't say drugs or sex, I'm questioning your sanity, but apparently whoever made this thought that making children eat gummy worms, not brush their teeth. There's a whole joke about not brushing their teeth. And watching Looney Tunes, because that's what normal 17-year-olds do. I get it's post-apocalyptic, but are you fucking kidding me with this shit? Like, I can't. I'm done with that. Like, I've tried so many times over and over and over again to give these Netflix adaptations their fair share. I've tried over and over again to be open-minded and optimistic about what they actually are. I gave it with Jupiter's Legacy. I ended up saying it was okay, but this could have been changed. The makeup artist should be banned from Hollywood. Whoever did the costume should probably never work again either. And whoever did this should be right along with them, because all the edge that Jeff Lemire gave this story, you 100% took away. And you did not even try to do and use those difficult circumstances, those life-changing decisions that you're forced to make when faced with those difficult circumstances. The choices aren't easy. You watch Sweet Tooth and Deckert come over hurdle and hurdle. You watched as Sweet Tooth's hope was never changing. You watched that little man have a heart the entire time, and you turned it into this, and you completely changed everything. And I mean everything. This is like Sweet Tooth in name only. Like, I'm questioning why Jeff Lemire is okay with this, but I'm sure it's got a couple zeros at the end as to why. I'm not trying to insinuate that it's the money, but it's probably the money. Anyways, if you're interested in Bambi furriness, then watch this show. It's doing really good on Rotten Tomatoes. If you're interested in a really good, true spiritual tale that will tell you a story about life and the acceptance of the new generation in a very holistic way, then read the graphic novel, because I do not suggest this show. Yeah, I don't have much more to say. I'm embarrassed at how this even looks for them, how racist it looks. You made the man a pillhead and use a child. What's wrong with you, Netflix? Like, really? What's wrong with you? Jesus. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.